Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with 12 programs about the seasons for beginners, essential music that beginners should know about the seasons, because everyone likes programmatic music, and it's fun to compare similar works that describe the same thing. And this is not like Vivaldi's The Four Seasons. I'm not talking about pieces that do all four of them in four sections or whatever it is. I am talking about individual works about individual seasons. And I give you three of each: 3 springs, 3 summers, 3 falls or autumns, and 3 winters. And that, I think, would be really, I love this program, this list. I mean, it's just fun to listen to these things, and they're very, very different pieces. That's what makes them, I think, so interesting. So without further ado, let's just get to it, shall we? Spring, the 3 spring pieces. First, Schumann, the Spring Symphony. Now, this applies particularly to the first movement, which is one of those fresh, bucolic, lively. I mean, it begins with a big brass fanfare and lots of woodwinds, because woodwinds mean nature. Woodwinds mean nature. This is something you need to know in your life in classical music. Composers who want to do spring, nature, the outdoors, they got to get their oboes, clarinets, flutes, and bassoons going, because that's what those instruments do better than anything else. So yeah, we have a lot of that. And Schumann adds a triangle. A little jingly triangle as well to his first movement, which was quite rare. It doesn't play in the rest of the symphony, only in the first movement, but it just gives that glint of spring, and he called the symphony the Spring Symphony. And yeah, that's what it does. It does it very, very well. So after that, we're going to go totally 100 years up or so to Frank Bridge, Enter Spring. Now, Enter Spring is a tone poem, about a 20-minute long tone poem in 2 big parts. The first big part is kind of the end of winter, and it's very turbulent and harmonically daring, and it ends with a big tam-tam crash. It's going to pow! It won't just end with it, but there's one in there. And then gradually spring comes marching in, and spring is a march. Bum, bum, bum. Da ba da dum ba dum ba. Oh, it's just wonderful. It's a fabulous, fabulous piece of instrumental music, one of the great 20th century tone poems, and it does exactly what it says it's supposed to. Spring enters, and enters with enormous panache. That's the word. It's panache. And after that, we have something a little gentler by Claude Debussy, Printemps, Spring. Just means spring. This was an odd piece in Debussy's output. It came in a bunch of versions, and he sort of got some help from Charles Koechlin, the crazy conductor who wrote symphonies about Hollywood movie stars and whatnot, and the Jungle Book tone poems. And he was a great, great orchestrator. And so he helped Debussy sort of take the bits and arrangements and various entities that became Printemps and stuff them into the final form. And this also, like Enter Spring, has 2 sections, in this case 2 separate movements. One is very, very dreamy and very impressionistic, because Debussy's supposed to be. He isn't always, but he is there. And then a livelier Enter Spring type thing with a great tune, a real music hall tune. Da da dum ba da 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 dum bum bum ba dum ba da 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 dum bum bu du 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 du. Oh, it's just great. And it's not well known. It's not at all well known, but it deserves to be. It's about 15 minutes long or so, and it's delightful. So that's spring. Now we're going to do summer. Delius. We have to do Delius. Delius only did sort of slow, dreamy music about nature. Then he got syphilis. That's what Delius did. And one of his most beautiful works is called In a Summer Garden. And that's what it is. It's a meditative, very, very voluptuous, extremely tranquil, very, very beautiful fantasy, I guess you'd call it. And it's absolutely lovely. So after the Delius, something totally different. Joseph Suk. Now, Joseph Suk was Dvorak's son-in-law. He married Dvorak's daughter, and quite tragic, he was very close to Dvorak, and his wife and Dvorak both died within a very, very short period of time, leaving him with his son and completely grief-stricken. And he worked his way out of it with a series of big tone poems. The first was called the Azrael Symphony, Azrael being the angel of death. There were 4 in this series. And they became basically his musical testament because he wrote very little after he completed this series. After the Azrael Symphony, he wrote a piece called A Summer Tale. And it is so beautiful. Oh my God. If you look at my series of the world's most beautiful melodies, and look at Joseph Suk, S-U-K, you'll find the finale of this piece, which is an adagio, a slow movement, called Night. And it's a symphonic poem about a summer day. And it wakes up with all kinds of dreams and reminiscences and turbulence and whatnot. It's incredibly beautiful. Then there are a couple of short pieces. There's one called Blind Fiddlers, which actually features 2 English horns as much as it does the 2 fiddlers. It's incredibly beautiful, and a harp strumming along behind them. It's like a bardic thing. And then there's something called Noon, which is the most poetic portrait of a hot summer day at noon with their total stillness. You just hear the buzz of insects, the high trill in the violins, and this amazing tune that goes dum bum ba da da dum bum bum ba da dum boom boom. It's a musical portrait of stasis. It's only 5 minutes long. It's just fabulous. And then there's in the possessed by demons, essentially a bitter and nasty and really hostile sort of scherzo type thing, followed by Night, that gorgeous finale. And the whole thing is about 50 minutes long. It's a big, juicy, romantic work about summer, but as much as the state of mind as anything external. I mean, you get both. Obviously you get both, and it's just fantastic when it's a masterpiece, and you really need to hear it. So there's that one, and then last but not least, Arthur Honegger, the French, or Swiss actually. Someone screamed at me because I said he was a French composer. No, they said he's Swiss. Well, okay, fine, who cares? I mean, French Swiss people are just French people who happen to live on the other side of an Alp. And if you think I give a damn about that, you're wrong. Anyway, he wrote a lovely, lovely piece called Pastorale d'été. That is a summer pastoral. It's 10 minutes long. It's just lovely. It's exactly what it says it is. Another beautiful sketch of summer. So after summer comes autumn, of course. Here we have 3 fabulous autumn things, which are actually 2 of which are rather contemporary and daring, I think. First, Toru Takemitsu, the great Japanese composer, November Steps. He did a lot of stuff in autumn. He liked autumn and he liked water. A lot of his music is wet and autumnal. And November Steps is just a lovely, lovely tone poem, which is, listen to it and decide if it effectively evokes that mood, the mood of autumn, of loss, of gentle melancholy. It's exquisite, really an exquisite piece. It's been recorded a few times, so it's not hard to find. Next, the Finnish composer, Eino Juhani Rautavaara. What a great composer he was. And he wrote a piece called Autumn Gardens, which for some reason I added strange letters to down here. Okay, well, never mind. It's one of his most beautiful late works. It's in a couple of 3 movements. Last time I checked. Oh my gosh, it's for a chamber orchestra, and it's so poetic and atmospheric. And again, it really sounds like what it says it is. Gardens. You notice the gardens? We had summer gardens. Now we have autumn gardens. The idea of nature, but also something that's planned. Something with form and shape and color that's been laid out in a particular way to cause a certain emotional reaction in the listener. And it's an absolutely lovely work, Autumn Gardens. It's fabulous. And after that, Grieg, we'll stay in Scandinavia. Grieg wrote a lovely overture called In Autumn, which nobody pays any attention to, and it's really good. and delightful and fun to listen to. And it was always, recorded by people like Thomas Beecham and, conductors who did, lesser known repertoire by really good composers who were not getting the credit they deserved. So In Autumn is a serious concert overture by Grieg. I don't hear that much autumnal about it, particularly beyond the title, but you may disagree. And that's the whole point of these things. Listen to it and see if you agree or see if you don't. It's a beautiful overture no matter what. So whether you feel like autumn or not, you're getting a good overture. But now we come to winter. Winter is so much fun. It's my favorite. Well, I like winter because I like ice and cold and snow and darkness and all of those things. I can't stand hot weather. So first, Arnold Bax. Greetings, all you Baxians. Hello from the planet Earth to planet Baxia. We're talking about your hero again. Bax wrote this enormous thing for piano and orchestra called Winter Legends. God knows what the legends are, and God knows why it's winter, and God knows why the piano's there, but it's there, and it's wonderful. It's a big, romantic, ballsy, pedal to the metal effusion of wintry wonderland stuff. Yes, it's nice, it's winter, it's terrific, absolutely terrific. And you might not even think of it when you're listening to it. Oh, well, this is winter. Well, maybe you will. Again, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide what the music is expressing. The legends that he's expressing took place in the winter. What can I tell you? But the legends themselves are quite passionate. There's a lot of heat in this music. There's a lot of heat in Bax's music all the time. Just ask all those sunburned people on planet Baxia. Trust me. Next, oh, I love this one too. Jan Leifs, the Icelandic composer of natural disaster music. His most famous piece is the one I played anvils in with the Helsinki Philharmonic, Hekla, the volcanic eruption. But he did a whole bunch of, natural craziness pieces. He did Geyser, which is, of course, a geyser, not just any geyser, the one that gave the world the name geyser. It's in Iceland. And then he did Dettifoss, which is a huge waterfall, which you can visit, which I did. You can see it. It's in Iceland. It's a big waterfall, and you approach it from the distance, and the roar of the water, just these titanic forces. And he also did Hafís. Hafís is his winter one. It means drift ice, and it's very cold. And the ice is drifting, and it's crashing into things, and creaking, and breaking, and cracking, and then, it's just fabulous. And it's only like 12 minutes long. The nice thing about all these pieces by Leifs is that they're relatively short. That's why it's taken until now for anyone to play them. He wrote them in the 50s and 60s and whatnot, but nobody could perform them because they're written for enormous orchestras and they're terribly expensive. And the idiom is based on strange Icelandic folk music, which nobody got, and they couldn't do it in Iceland because they didn't have the orchestra. They're terribly expensive and terribly impractical because after 12 minutes, you've gotten all these billions of people together and it's gone, and then it's over. And you paid a fortune to do it and everyone's gone home and, but trust me, the audience will have loved it. You will love it. It's so much fun. The recording is on BIS. It's just tremendous. And finally, an American composer, John Luther Adams. Not John Adams, the American composer, but John Luther Adams. He's a different one. He is a modernist, post-minimalist kind of guy who spent a lot of time in Alaska writing big, long, sometimes shorter, but mostly long pieces about the empty Alaskan wilderness. And he wrote a gorgeous piece called In the White Silence, using very, very simple materials, simple chords for alternating with, more dissonant chords, things like that. It's very minimal. It's very slow. It's very static and extended, and it makes great background music, I have to say. Some of it does anyway, but it's really, really lovely. It's a beautiful nature poem about winter in Alaska. Of course, as soon as I started to get interested in him and his Alaskan stuff, I discovered he'd move to New Jersey. So I suppose we're going to have, after the white silence, we're going to have, Trenton, what the world excretes, Trenton eats, or something like that. I don't know what he's going to call it. But he's in Jersey. Last I heard. Maybe he's gone back to Alaska, having seen New Jersey. I don't know. Sorry, all of you Jerseyites. Anyway, for those of you who do not live in the United States, I just want to tell you, the state of New Jersey is kind of like a joke for people who don't live in New Jersey. There's nothing particularly wrong with New Jersey. The problem New Jersey has is that it's stuck between New York on one end and Philadelphia on the other end. So its own cities are just horrible. I mean, there's just no point in having them because you've got these really cool cities at either end. And so New Jersey sort of became this urban wasteland tucked in the middle. And, well, never mind. This is not about New Jersey. This is about winter. And about John Luther Adams in the White Silence, a fabulous tone poem about winter in Alaska, which will banish any remaining thought of New Jersey that you might have had. So there you go. There's the list. 12 seasonal pieces. Just fun stuff to explore at your leisure. Keep on listening, my friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.